You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
All right, we're back for another edition of the Hemp Connoisseur magazine, and Samantha is getting mounted by a large, loving
action I've had
pit bull. It is the most action she's had in a long time, so we're going to give her a break for a minute so she can take a shower after this. So we missed you last week, Samantha.
I wish more guys were that aggressive. Just saying, David, between us.
Oh, really?
Mama's been lonely. Mama's been lonely.
Well, first caller gets a date with Samantha.
Yeah,
You're listening to iCannabisRadio.com.
What was that, Christian?
I don't know.
It's okay, Christian.
Just to remind everybody in case they missed the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, first caller will get a date with me. How's that sound? I bet we get 0 callers.
Nobody ever calls us.
I know. No one ever calls me either, David. This is the problem.
Yeah, but if you want a date with Samantha, 720-381-1420 or 1-420.
How do we turn this into my dating? I'm actually down with that.
Yeah.
Can we make this happen?
We could.
I would like to turn THC radio.
Maybe we do like the fourth Thursday of every month as Get It On with Samantha Day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Get it on. I kind of wish now my name was actually Samantha Day, because that sounds
Samantha
a lot
Day?
better than Samantha Walsh. Like, is like kind of more radio-y.
Yeah, it
A little
does
bit
sound
like
good.
Samantha Day.
Samantha Day.
Yeah.
There you go. You got your new handle.
Is that a handle? Is that what they call it?
It's a handle.
Oh,
yeah, you call it a handle.
Oh my gosh! You know what I did today?
What I don't know, but I know you didn't have sex because you've been
I
complaining
did
about
not.
that.
I don't even know what sex is. That's how sad my life is, and why I'm telling this to millions upon listeners.
1 million listeners.
I think just demonstrates how sad I am. So sad.
Yeah.
I saw FLOTUS today.
FLOTUS.
For those not in the know, FLOTUS is an acronym for First Lady of the United States.
Uh-huh.
Michelle
Did you get
O.
to have a conversation with Miss Michelle?
No. No.
You just saw her from afar.
Not that afar.
How afar?
Like 10 feet,
10
15 feet.
Right.
Probably more like 30. I'm terrible at math.
What's your impression seeing her in person?
Oh, she is, first of all, and this is going to sound so superficial, she is beautiful.
That's not superficial. That's just an observance.
She is a very beautiful woman.
Superficial would be like she's a good first lady because she's beautiful. That would be superficial.
But she is.
She is pretty.
And a good first lady because she's pretty. That's it. That's the only thing I care about.
I will say this. Out of all of the first couples, don't you just look at the Obamas and go, they have sex on a regular basis?
On the reg. Totally on the reg.
Totally.
Totes reg.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
You do. I mean, you looked at the Bushes and you weren't like, yeah, Laura's, yeah, they're getting it on a regular. Yeah, it's not happening.
No.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
So sad.
So
Anyways,
sad.
that was cool.
That's
she was
nice.
in town stumping for Mark Udall, Senator Udall, who I would encourage people to go vote for Mark Udall, if only because I think keeping the Senate is so critical right now.
Agreed.
A lot of people may think, oh, well, Mark's blah, blah, blah on cannabis. And yes.
He's better than Gardner, though.
He's better than Cory Gardner, who has written a letter. He was asking, right after Amendment 64.
He's kind of scary Republican, isn't he?
He's, what's the thing? They're coming out with this, one thing now where they're saying he's catfishing voters. And if those of you who aren't,
I have not seen that movie yet, but I've heard it's amazing.
Okay, so those who don't know internet slang, y'all, keep up, first of all. Hashtag keep up. Second of all, catfishing is when you create a fake persona online in order to entice people into a relationship. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of what they're accusing Cory Gardner of now, which is creating a fake personality to entice voters. Oh, that's very clever. I was like, oh, that's very cute.
Interesting. Speaking of fake personalities, I don't know if you heard about this in the news. Did you know that Facebook came after the DEA?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. But
I'm sorry. That just reminded me of it. I just wanted to bring
we'll
that
get
up.
back to that.
I know. I just want to bring it up so that we could get back to it. So we'll get back to the Facebook and DEA issue.
GNU does not like the fact that you went off script.
We never have a script, so there's no way to go off script.
Don't tell the people.
Moving on.
Don't tell the people.
Okay,
that.
please finish.
Okay.
your
The point
catfish
being,
story.
vote for Udall, not Gardner. Gross. Because Cory Gardner did write a letter wondering why there was no federal interference with the implementation of Amendment 64.
Really?
Yes,
Oh,
wondering why the federal government wasn't enforcing its laws.
He needs to not be elected.
He sucks. And second of all, while Udall probably hasn't been the best proponent, I would say that it's more critical to keep the Senate, because what we are doing is we've got now 3 positions open in the Department of Justice. Right now they have a temporary appointment with the ACLU, this ACLU attorney. I cannot remember her name, but she's a fucking badass who's already spoken about the decriminalization of marijuana. But we do have, 2 or 3 appointments for the Department of Justice that we're going to have to get through that have to be approved by the Senate. So if you think approving a soft or pro-marijuana person is going to be difficult in a bipartisan Congress, can you imagine how difficult it's going to be in a full red Senate? And after they're especially walking around like they just got their dick sucked by the voters, and they're going to be like, oh, we're all
being very raunchy today. Is this Chelsea Lately all of a sudden with you?
I fucking hate that girl so much. I hate Chelsea. I think she's a terrible comedian. Don't ever compare me to her. I hate it. And
I'm just talking about the language side of things here.
No, she sucks. And I'm funnier than she is and cuter. So fuck Chelsea Handler.
Okay.
Fuck you, Chelsea Handler. Yeah, I said it.
Yep, you did.
No, whatever. Just let me speak my mind. It works better that way.
Okay.
The point being, it'll be extremely difficult to get anybody who has any kind of positive or warm attitude towards cannabis as a Department of Justice nominee through a Republican, especially an emboldened Republican Senate, since apparently walking around like you got your dick sucked is offensive to David. So
no, it's not. It's not at all. But
because that's how they're going to act.
That is how they're going to act. Don't you find it really bizarre, though, that Republicans are anti-cannabis, being that they're supposed to be the portion of the government or the party that is about less government, less interference, and yet they do nothing but interfere?
Well, it's a little bit of both, right? So the Republicans are, because they are such a, you always hear this, like Republicans always brag about how they're such a big tent, and their biggest problem is that
you said big tent.
Big tent.
After getting their dick sucked.
After getting their dick sucked. Yeah. Tent. Yeah.
Yes.
So they, because of that, they've got the Christian Taliban, and they've got the crazy libertarians, and then you got the ogres, which is old guard Republican establishment. So those are your GOPs, and you got your neocons. So, you have all these little interesting mix, and the Christian Taliban types, those are the ones that those are your social conservatives, your Leslie Grahams and shit like that, who are die hard, hate weed, hate any kind of social thing, any kind of social change.
Although Pat Robertson did come out in favor of cannabis.
But now he backtracked on that.
Yeah,
he
doesn't know what he's talking about.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah, well,
I mean, he's cray cray.
He is cray cray.
He's so cray cray.
Yeah.
And so that's sort of where the Republicans are. But I say this to Democrats all the time, especially now in the election, especially lately. We've been doing a lot of fundraisers and things like that for certain candidates and electeds. And they have, in private, they've been like, I've been so good on the weed issue at these fundraisers. But, there's always that but. We can't just really make this an election issue, and we can't just really talk about it.
It is an election issue, though.
Well, they don't want to, because it's difficult.
Because they don't want to have the conversation.
They don't want to have the conversation. And to me, it's very disheartening because it's in your party platform, you idiots. Sorry if that sounds rough, but it is. It's in their party platform.
It is.
And, to sit there and come to the industry for money. The industry does do
You heard the voicemail, right? Hickenlooper voicemail.
Oh, Diane Foreign-Butcher, normal. Yeah. I did. I actually may not known about that.
We talked about that last week, actually, with Christy.
Did you?
Yeah, Christy was awesome, by the way. And she wants to do a show with just you and her. She doesn't want me around. Yeah, she wants me gone, which is offensive. Come on now.
Well,
what's up, Christy?
Christy has amazing taste, and she's a very smart girl. So, yeah.
Damn.
Oh my God, wouldn't that be awesome? A show.
I would love to have you both on together, and
without you.
Without me.
You can just sit there in the back and watch.
She's the third Thursday of every month from now on.
It'll be the best threesome you've ever had, David. We can just get it on, and you can just sit in the back and direct.
That's not a threesome then. That is a twosome with a voyeur.
That's the only kind of way I do a threesome. Yeah, look at you disappointed.
Usually it's just her cat. Usually a threesome for Samantha is herself and then her 2 cats watching. She's like, it would be even funnier if it wasn't so true.
Oh my God, I'm so sad.
So I do want to talk about the Facebook thing to move away from your sex life.
I know. Can we please move off my sex life,
Yes,
please?
Everybody else has. They're just it's like playing t-ball right now. It really is. It's just like they're lined up. No, so Facebook came after the DEA, which I love that. I mean, and I'm not going to say I'm a huge Facebook fan.
Well, they were sitting there making all these
fake profiles.
And even was there some court decision that said you couldn't do that anymore either?
Well, Facebook said you can't do that. So it's their platform. They can decide to put those rules in that you can't make up a fake profile. Now, that said, I've been saying this for a while, that I know that we're being trolled by the DEA as a cannabis magazine on Facebook, because on a regular basis we would get and they slowed down, but we used to get these things where we would do posts, and our posts would be reaching a lot of people. And then we would get somebody who would post on there saying, we're selling cannabis, and we're selling weed for this, and we have this strain, this strain, this strain, this strain, this strain, and call us, and we'll sell you some product. And we would get these on a regular basis.
Are you serious?
Oh, no, I'm dead serious. We would get this for over a year, and we kept blocking these people from our Facebook page. And then all of a sudden another profile would pop up with the exact same list. And I was like, first of all, what dumbass is going to try to sell illegally on Facebook for that? I was like, I don't buy that it's a person, it's a dealer, because you're basically asking for trouble. I was like, it's the DEA, it's some other entity that's trying to entrap people into purchasing from them. So we kept blocking all these things. And so after about a year of this, we started seeing less and less of these popping up on us.
You should, what you should do is you should have a form email that you could send to those people on message and be like, unless you are a licensed dispensary and paying us ad revenue, you are not allowed to advertise your wares on they're
not allowed to advertise their wares on Facebook anyway.
Know what I mean? But just some kind of thing that says right.
No,
if you wanted to use THC Magazine as a platform, you can contact our advertising department.
We should have done that. You're right. That would have made because
then you show you're covering your bases, and you're like, maybe if they
but we would just block them. We would just block them, and once in a blue moon, I would send a message like, don't ever come onto our page again, because we do not condone the illegal sale of cannabis via any, unless it's a legal avenue, obviously, any illegal sale. So we would have to do that. And the whole time we're blocking this, I'm like, I think this is the fucking DEA, or this is some other federal entity trying to nail people, and most likely it is the DEA. And I just kept saying, and I'd always make sure all of our guys are like very careful about your messaging and how you word things and all that. But I really do expect that that's what it is. And we never called them, of course, the number to get to order some. And part of me wanted to do like an expose and try to nail them down and be like, sorry about that.
You just knocked my glass.
I did.
It's cool.
And try to call them and try to nail whoever was doing it and be like, are you legally selling cannabis right now? Or are you a federal entity? But then we also figured if it was a federal entity, they'd probably think we were actually trying to buy, and then we'd get in trouble. So I'm glad that Facebook came out and came after the DEA and said, you can't do that.
I wish they would just give it up. Just give it up.
Give it up.
Just go.
Seriously, dude.
This is just people scared. I get it. They're going to lose their jobs. Yes, you are going to lose your job. Go do something else.
Yeah. You know what? Other people have to go back to school and learn something else. And,
Oh, it's so,
go into security.
Give it up. Just stop.
Become rent-a-cops.
These drug warriors are insane. They don't give it up. They're doing these new lows. For example, there's this one new low, Christian Thurstone, that douchebag of douchiousness.
From Smart, Colorado.
His royal douchiness of Doucheville had a, for anyone who's keeping up in the news, the very tragic shooting and murder, I would say, of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri.
Well, even if you're not keeping up with the news, I think you know about that. Yeah. Unless you've been living in
I would hope so. And now, his autopsy report came out, and
Did it finally come out?
Yeah, and what was leaked? Of course, it's always leaked, right? And it's always leaked when...
I don't even understand why it had to be leaked. Why wasn't it out, a long time ago?
Well, it's always leaked. Well, you had a preliminary that was done by the family.
Yeah, but there was an independent autopsy by the family.
There was an independent one, and then there was this preliminary one. Oh, yeah, so I'm going to trust the one that's done by the, people who are probably going to who should be indicted by murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Legal murderers. That's what you have to call some of these police officers. Sorry. I believe that's totally true. I'm totally getting pulled over after this, I swear to God. So anyways.
No, you're not in St. Louis. You'll be all right.
Yeah. Like Denver PD's any better.
Well, I guess there was a guy shot twice in the back recently in Denver.
Was that Colorado Springs?
That was in Colorado Springs?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me.
But anyway, so Michael Brown had THC in his system. It was something like 7 nanograms or something like that. Very low,
Enough to be considered DUI in Colorado, though.
Asshole uses that as basically, he says that the reason that Michael Brown got shot is because he had marijuana in his system, and marijuana alters your behavior. So
marijuana makes you turn your back and put your head down so you can get shot in the head. That's what marijuana does. That's what is that what their argument is?
Well, no, their argument is it made him aggressive. Remember, it's the same thing that came out with Trayvon.
Made him aggressive.
It's the same shit that came out with Trayvon. Made you aggressive and da-da-da. And it's like, no, more than likely that kid probably smoked a joint like the other day, and he's like not aggressive anymore, but it stays in your system. And now, to me, to use the tragedy of a child being murdered, being a victim of overzealous police and state action, which is the epitome of the drug war, right? Like isn't that the typical tragedy of the drug war, which is you have people of color, young men of color, who are victims of an overzealous police state. And now you have somebody saying that, like, that was justifiable. That because he had probably smoked maybe a little bit of weed within a week before that incident, even if he, like...
The only thing that
even
justifies...
Even if he had smoked it, like, 5 hours... I don't care if he smoked it while, he had a joint in his mouth.
I don't care either. The only thing that justifies him getting shot is if he pulled a gun or a weapon out at that police officer. That's the only thing that justifies that.
Well, isn't it so funny that, like, we could apprehend all these, like, white criminals without killing them, the James Holmes and the, like, Jared Lautners of the world. Mm-hmm. But, these young black guys who have no weapons on them always have to be shot to be put down, right?
Here's my question.
Sad.
Here's my question. Don't most cops have tasers on them, first of all? And isn't the reason for the taser so that you can apprehend somebody without killing them? I mean, that's what I don't understand. Like, why is it that the gun is the first thing they go for? To me, the taser should be the first thing you go for. And unless there's a gun being shot at you, then there's no excuse to ever pull your gun, ever. I don't get it. And then we have the police state where we have SWAT teams going after guys who are low-level cannabis dealers. SWAT teams are used on such a ridiculous rate in this country.
In Georgia, it's insane. If you ever look at the statistics about what SWAT teams are being used in Georgia for these no-knock raids, that was the one where they recently just decided that poor baby that was injured, he's disfigured in his face by a flashbang grenade because the SWAT team in Georgia had done a no-knock warrant on somebody. The van in the parking lot had one of those stick figure families on it. There's children toys, and their excuse was they had no idea that there's children in the house. They did this no-knock raid, and they said no charges would be pressed against the police officers.
See, here's my problem with the no-knock raids.
So a disfigured baby, a baby now with like a fucked up face.
You're talking about the flashbang? Did you say that?
Yeah. It landed in his crib and exploded in his face.
Yeah, I know. I remember there's a hole in his chest.
It's so sad.
And I have to mention our Appalachian man did a comment on here about your three-way, by the way. He said he thought your three-way was left hand, right hand, and you.
Is that my three-way?
Yeah, your three. And he's talking about it's their training when it comes to SWAT teams. It is their training. But the problem is, police don't do police work anymore. Didn't they used to, stake out a home?
Right.
Make sure that the actual person, the suspect was there, because the suspect wasn't even at that house on the flashbang situation. It was the family that was staying at his place.
Or if you're gonna be granted these, first of all, these no-knock warrants, like I think should be at least a little bit unconstitutional. But second of all,
absolutely,
if you're gonna be executing a no-knock warrant, I think there should be extra burden of proof into the investigation. You should have to show so much evidence to say, yeah, not only do we know that they have guns on the premises, not just like we suspect it because maybe there's drugs there. Like you have to have I want either photographic evidence, want some kind of there should be a higher burden of proof in order to justify that kind of a warrant.
Or how about this? How about spend a little less money on automatic weapons for the police and a little bit of money on thermal image scanning so they can actually look through the house and see where the bodies are, and maybe they can go, wow, look, that's a baby.
Yeah.
Maybe we should proceed with caution before we do it. Because that's their job, in my opinion, is safety should be coming first for everybody involved. Yes, I understand the safety for the cops. But you know what? We're your employers. We pay for your jobs, so you should be making sure that you serve us.
But isn't that part of it, though? Don't you think part of it then is also that when you say police work, that instead of fostering this us versus them mentality amongst police officers, that it should be like fostering you're a member of this community, right? And I think part of that is that this is something I think police unions should be working for, right? Is about you need to be developing and cultivating relationships within the community and not presenting yourself as a force of threat or an antagonism.
Absolutely.
But instead it used to be, because isn't that really the big problem? Like if you look at Ferguson, for example, and you have a 95% white police force policing a community that's 85% black, that if you're obviously not a member of that community, so why are you not building the relationships with that? Like if that guy, just think about, if that Darren Wilson, is that his name? If that, if he had known Michael Brown, or at least known, he would have been like, hey, punks, but have that relationship, have that kind of friendly thing where you can be like, hey, you guys, don't be assholes, get off the sidewalk, instead of automatically assuming malice or impugning negative motives onto these kids, and have that relationship with them, develop that.
Well, I think the problem is it's this self-fulfilling prophecy for the police, because yes, the police have to be cautious. Once in a there is occasion where they will stop for a routine traffic stop and a dude will shoot them. So there becomes this thing, well, we have to be really cautious, and then there does become what you're saying, that us versus them kind of mentality. But when you have that us versus them mentality, then there's more antagonism towards the police force, and then there's more of a rift between you and the community.
Right.
And then you get to where you are in Ferguson.
I mean, I would like to see, people always wonder what kind of can you do legislatively. I would like to see, when it comes to hiring policies, perhaps you have to hire a certain percentage of residents from the community. Like if you're running for office, this is how it is. If I'm running for political office and I want to run for mayor of Denver, like Kayvon Calabarti from Denver Relief will be running for mayor of Denver, I hear.
Will he?
I heard a rumor.
For 2016?
No, 2015.
Oh, that's when the mayor
May.
That's
May,
random.
bitches. Yeah, so
That's a random
they do
time.
it right after regular.
Why would they do that?
Municipal, because it's municipal, and it's just too hard to focus on when you have statewide and stuff. So.
Yeah, but you would get much more of a turnout for voters if you did it during that time.
No, they just do. So, anyways,
Kayvon
regardless.
is mayor, huh?
Or ENC. I heard Denver Relief's making some
Interesting.
political run. Anyways, the point being is that if you want to run for the city of Denver's mayor, you have to be a resident for 2 years.
Yes.
So to me, it would make sense that
you have to be a resident for 2 years before you can be a cop.
But in that community, look, maybe you have to have a certain, and I understand that might be unrealistic if you have 20 positions to fill. Are you going to be able to find 20 qualified people from that community who not?
Well, they're not even finding qualified people now, because I don't think they're doing the proper psych evaluation of cops when they bring them in.
That's a huge thing. Yeah, the psychological and mental health support is critical, I think, in law enforcement. But what I'm saying is, if you start cultivating these jobs and recruiting these jobs from the neighborhoods that they're supposed to be policing, you're enforcing what's missing, right? Which is that ties to the community.
Right.
And you're saying that if you're going to be a representative of this community and you're going to be a patrol and a public servant, because that's what police officers are. I think we all forget at the end of the day, they are supposed to be public servants. It's
they are
what you're
supposed
saying.
to be.
They're supposed to be serving and protecting the public. So if you're going to be serving and protecting the public, you should be a member of that public that you're specifically serving and protecting.
Right. And I just got called by Appalachian Man, by the way. He did say, isn't that a Fourth Amendment issue with the thermal imaging?
Well, I would think that Appalachian Man, if you can do any kind of visual surveillance, I think that a thermal imaging would be okay, because you have the same kind of issues with wiretapping. So you still have to get a warrant.
You have to have a warrant.
So you would have to have a certain warrant for thermal imaging.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if they're already surveilling you, they probably already have somewhat of a warrant, or they have some kind of leeway.
Well, and that's my thing. If you have a warrant to do a no-knock raid,
if you have a warrant
then
to do a
you
no-knock
should
raid.
be able to do a thermal imaging before you do the no-knock raid.
And maybe that's part of it.
I agree that it isn't a Fourth Amendment issue if somebody's just walking around with a thermal imager looking into houses. Absolutely. But that, I think that's a good point.
I just figured out my Christmas list. For those of you who want to get me a present.
Thermal imaging?
All the potential boyfriends out there. I want a thermal imaging thingy.
First of all, if one of your potential boyfriends has a thermal imaging thing, they're probably trying to, thermal image your three-way with your cats.
I don't, first of all, shut up. second of all,
She was going to say, first of all, that's not true, but she realized it was.
Whatever. That's why I don't tell anyone where I live.
You know, before we tell everybody where Samantha lives, we do have to go for a break for our sponsors. We have the Indo Expo show coming up, by the way.
Oh, when is that again?
That is on November 15th and 16th. Very excited about that because I will be speaking at that event.
Oh, you will?
I will be speaking on...
I will be sure not to be there.
Please do. I will be speaking on... and Christy will hopefully be joining us.
Christy
be Lunsford.
At Christy's.
Yeah. No, she'll be speaking on the same panel as us on marketing practices in the cannabis industry.
Oh.
Which...
I want to speak.
You want to speak? You speak all the time. In fact, to the point where we don't want you to speak anymore.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm quitting.
I know.
Right now. I'm leaving after this.
Okay.
During the commercial break.
During the commercial break, we'll be back in just a moment. A New Amsterdam is located in the Wild West, and Colorado is the leader in this new billion-dollar industry. The Indo Expo show looks to support the growth of the industry both locally and nationally by bringing together industry professionals from around the country. The Indo Expo show is a full-spectrum event with exhibitors featuring cultivation, new technologies, smoke, lifestyle, education, industrial hemp, and industry services. Seminars, networking events, and classes will be offered, encouraging attendees to exchange ideas, information, and network. The show looks to support the local community and assist in connecting people by holding a public job fair Sunday, November 16th. The Indo Expo show will be November 15th through the 16th at the Denver Mart. Visit www.indoexpoco.com or call 720-299-5719 for additional details.
I'm Gary Johnson, and you're listening to iCannabis Radio, and I want to say, talk it up, Colorado.
All right, we're back. As soon as Samantha gets off her Match.com app.
Not Match.com. Not even Tinder.
Tinder isn't Tinder is am I wrong in thinking Tinder is just basically like a booty call hookup app? Got it. Yeah. God, why didn't they have those things when I was single? Now they have all the fun stuff. See, it's too easy though. I mean, back in the day you had to have game. You know, now you just like send an app and you know, you're like, "Hey, you horny?" "Yeah, okay, let's meet." You know, it's like there's no work involved anymore.
There is maybe that's the reason I wasn't successful at Tinder, because
you actually thought it was a way to date somebody.
Kinda.
So you did try Tinder.
Well, yeah, I said I deleted it, so obviously I had to have had it installed.
I was only half listening to you.
This is the problem with our not relationship.
Right, got it.
Insistence on ignoring me, because you know what?
No, I don't actually insist on ignoring you. It just happens naturally.
In here, pearls of wisdom, just saying, out of the mouths of babes. Mm-hmm. That's what that means, right? Babes?
No, not at all.
No, I never got. I was like, I like a little bit of wooing. I like to
a little bit. Like what's a little bit? Like, hey, you wanna?
No, I need some kind of witty banter. Like, you know what you and I do? Not that. The opposite of that. I need actual...
You don't think we have witty banter?
No,
I think we have witty banter. It's just that it's witty banter without any expectation of anything after the fact.
I think the other person
which is good for both of us.
The person I'm exchanging banter with has to actually be witty. So that's the problem,
okay.
you know?
Oh,
yeah. So, you know, you have to have that kind of, you know, back and forth. And if I don't get it, then you ain't getting it. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So,
and that's why, because you're the only one who makes yourself laugh.
That is not true. I crack many people up first. Second, there are a lot of people that make me laugh. You're just not one of them.
You were laughing your ass off earlier.
I know. You had some good zingers. Yeah. It's not. No, David, don't take too much credit.
I'm not. I'm really not.
I am a little day drunk. Let's be honest.
Yes, a little day drunk.
I don't.
The commitment to be day drunk and still come to the radio show.
I know. This is why, you know, drinking's so bad for you. And you know what? We found out the other day from the Washington Post. They did this article that shows that alcohol is actually more detrimental to your IQ.
Than
marijuana.
Mean, like seriously, sometimes you get these studies though, and aren't you like, no. Yeah, we all knew that.
But it was, remember, for every single, it's always the Smart Colorado go-to talking point. that marijuana is going to reduce your IQ by 8 points. You really want to be a hashtag
Well, yeah,
labyrinth?
and that did come out. This was on the AP, I believe, so Washington Post did it as well. But there's an article. I just pulled up the Independent, which is from the UK.
Yeah.
And I will say this. The UK has come out with some serious bullshit studies on marijuana recently, more than the United States has. So I'm glad to see that they've talked about it.
The UK is nothing like their media has devolved, and ours is slowly becoming that to just nothing but tabloids. Like they are just.
You think ours is slowly becoming that?
I think that there's some legitimate print journalism out there. That,
I actually appreciate the BBC more than I
like
appreciate anything else.
Well, but the BBC's not like. When you're talking about like Daily Mail and all that, like Telegraph and all that stuff, like that's just tabloid.
Well, and they used a picture from our New Year's Eve party right here.
Yes,
I don't keep. I just mentioning it because our listeners haven't heard about it. And I actually, the funny thing about that party is I keep seeing pictures floating around.
Well, it's that one, right? That one girl.
No, this is a different one. This is a different one. Another different girl.
That girl like blowing smoke.
Yeah, she's vaporizing.
Anyways,
but the study basically says that marijuana use by teenagers does not result in a lower IQ or worse exam results, based on the fact that they factored in alcohol use, tobacco use. Hashtag duh.
Duh.
And they looked at the fact that it had to do with more socioeconomic studies than it had to do with the actual cannabis usage. Of course. Which is something that all of us have all been saying ad nauseum, basically, on a regular basis, because they keep saying this whole IQ thing. And that's the study that, Smart Colorado will point out.
The other thing that they had said was, yes, that there was no decrease in IQ amongst cannabis use. They measured it at 9, your IQ at 9, and then they measured these kids again at 15, and they saw no decrease in IQ or intelligence. And they did say that there might have been some effect on academic performance, but at the end of the day, that was more, like you said, more tied into poverty, and it's also... It's more predictive and indicative, I think, of people who are naturally not performing well anyways. And then, like, you have to see, these are the people who are going to be seeking out these outlets, right? So it's sort of, excuse me. Sorry. It's sort of the same thing you see with when they talk about mental health issues and substance use, particularly marijuana and alcohol. But they say, oh, well, it's a correlation, right? Well, they don't look at the proper correlation, which is probably that these people already have these issues, and then they're seeking alcohol and marijuana and other drugs as a crutch for those issues. It's not that those substances are leading to those issues.
No, it's the issues lead to a substance usage.
Exactly. That's the suicide one. You see it with it's so funny. It's such a weird correlation to bring up or analogy, but it's years ago there was a study done on women who receive breast implants. And if you get a breast like just warning out there to all you ladies, right? So if I was to sit there and tell you, well, if you get a boob job, you're now 18 times more likely to kill yourself, which is true. No,
you're more likely to kill yourself. You get a boob job because you don't know how to feel good about yourself.
Exactly.
And it's a cause effect kind of thing.
It's not even a cause effect. What it is just that like you see people are already suffering from depression, and they're looking for things to make them feel better about themselves.
Yeah, the boob job's a symptom.
It's a symptom, exactly. And it's a extreme symptom.
Unless you want to be a porn star. But then again, wanting to be a porn star is probably a symptom of something too.
Yes. Yeah. Probably. Well, I'm all about like free sex and all that stuff. But sexual liberation, y'all. But that's part of it. It's like you're mistaking the disease for the symptom, and we're too often and not in politics. This is one of the reasons actually I got involved in politics and policy, is because I'm so sick of seeing people treat the symptoms with policy and not treat the disease. And the disease is like, you always have to go out the source, right?
But we tend to be a country in a lot of our approaches of things where we always go after the symptom and not the actual root of the cause. I mean, that just seems to be...
It's the big pharma model, right?
There's no money in the cure. There's no money in the cure. Get you on the payback. The comeback is
it's the same. It's not something you can take to politics. There's no money in curing the problems, right? There's only money in like giving them life support to like.
Well, no, I mean, and it is. It's like there's no. It seems to me that maybe 10% of the issues that are brought up in a generation, or maybe a decade, I should say, are newer issues. But like a lot of times it just seems like recycling. Like we're still talking about Roe versus Wade. We're still talking about Roe versus Wade. Seriously. It's been 50 years now?
Exactly. What's the issue?
50 years.
And what really, if you were to ever talk to, and I never get a straight answer from pro-lifers except for the moral crusaders, and the one they always come back to is consequence-free sex, which I'll get into that in a second as to why that drives me fucking insane.
That drives me crazy.
But if you really want to stop abortions, what's the best way to stop abortions?
Birth control.
Stop women from getting pregnant. How do you stop women from getting pregnant? Birth control. So would you rather... and then they go, well, I don't want women having sex on my dime. Oh, but you would rather them raising 5 kids on your dime? Well, then they should just keep their legs closed. Okay, so now that's the more. So you're more.
The pill or prophylactics are so much cheaper than children.
Well, they use consequence-free sex. Women shouldn't be having this, and then they'll go.
It's not women, but that's what I love. It's women shouldn't be having. What about the guys? They're having sex.
They're having consequence-free sex all the time. I know. That's what it becomes is because so you pick your moral outrage, and you're obviously more morally outraged by women having sex without consequences, right, than they are about babies being killed, which is what they think an abortion is, right? You're killing babies. Mm-hmm. So that, to me, is more outrageous, right?
I can't even believe that we have, Amendment 67 being voted on.
They do that every year. I just have a feeling that was... it's so funny that was a left-wing conspiracy because nothing brings out liberals and progressives more than defeating that amendment because they bring it out every single election cycle.
It cracks me up that they even bring it out, though. It's like, I mean, they should know better than to bring it out.
They
should
never
learn.
Stop. They won't stop.
They should learn. Well, like, if we bring this out, people will come out and vote against it, and let's move on to another topic. But that's the problem is they don't know any new topics. They don't want to take the time to read and learn. Cannabis is one of those issues. They don't tend to take the time to learn about it.
Do you think that they're ever going to be able to get an Amendment 64 repeal measure on the ballot?
No.
Yeah, they talk about it.
Well, of course they're going to talk about it because they don't know what else to do. There's no originality in politics. That's the problem.
It's so funny because Smart Colorado always champions and cheerleads that notion when they hear it. Right?
Whenever we say Smart Colorado, there's quotation marks around
Smart Colorado.
Yes.
And now they're so funny. They're taking such offense at being called an anti-marijuana group.
But that's what
they like to say. That we protect the children. And I was like, I am still waiting to see who on your campaign and who in your organization ever supported Amendment 64.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
and I'm assuming they're behind the Lakewood ad.
No, that is this guy Bob something.
Just for those of you, Lakewood is a town just outside of Denver. Very large actual town
it's
geographically.
one of the bigger cities in Jefferson County, which is the biggest swing county in the state.
It is. We're swingers in Jefferson County.
It frustrates me immensely that people in the industry did not get out and really campaign for a yes on 2A measure. So there's not a huge their city council put on one of those opt-ins, and it wasn't an opt-in so much as it's a prohibit, right? So it's like, shall we prohibit? I think it's a shall we prohibit.
It's a shall we prohibit.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that these ads are coming out talking about, it's dangerous for children and all this stuff. And again, it's like, if you really cared about the children, you would want it to pass, because every time the legalization of cannabis is passed, the usage among minors has gone down.
I know. Did you see that report that just came out of California? Mm-hmm. Crime's gone down amongst kids, incarceration rates, all this stuff. Because guess what happens when when adults have a legal avenue to get marijuana and you no longer are propping up a black market industry, then that black market no longer has access to kids, which they don't, because now you got to ID people.
Yep.
And if you don't have access to kids and you don't have people going to hanging out with seedy drug dealers, guess what? They're going to have things to do with their time. They're no longer instead of spending 5 hours aimlessly wandering around looking for drugs, they have other things to do. You got to shut out that black market. And that's part of it, right? It's so funny because when, they have those studies that come out of Mesa County, for example, which is this conservative district in Colorado. And they're marijuana used to just through the use amongst kids. And it's you don't have legal marijuana in your city.
Exactly.
You have opted out.
Exactly.
I mean, people can possess it. See, that's the problem, right? When you that's why I think decriminalization isn't necessarily the answer. Because just because you're not getting in trouble for possession doesn't mean there's not going to be illegal drug dealers still selling.
Absolutely. And there is. There's a gray market. There's absolutely a very robust gray market in Colorado because the taxes for recreational is way too expensive. But even with that, I don't see a lot of these guys in the gray market who are legally growing, illegally selling, are not selling to kids because they know they have a good thing. They're like, wow, I can grow and nobody can come after me for growing. I can sell this on the side and make some money off of my product.
I prefer to say giving away marijuana to people without remuneration.
But that's not a gray market. That's not a gray market. That's legal. You can give cannabis away. You cannot
the gray
sell
market
it.
is more like when you're buying it and then selling it to your friends.
No, well, that's what I'm saying. Or you're growing it in the privacy of your home because you're
Right.
legally allowed to grow it, and then you're selling it to your friends.
Cool.
That, to me, is the gray market.
Yeah.
That would be like brewing your own beer and selling it to your friends. That's what it is.
You can grow your own vegetables in Denver now and sell them in your front yard.
Really?
Yeah, you see the grocery stores aren't out there picketing saying how that's cutting into their bottom line.
Good.
Just want to put that out there for a lot of people.
Hey, buying
you know.
local, it's always good.
What do you think about this edibles ban?
It didn't happen. It fell through right away.
I know, but it's interesting, right? Like,
Did they
don't
keep
you think
bringing
it's
it up?
No. But don't you think, like, this is the one thing that's sort of, like, I haven't quite, not necessarily wrapped my head around, but I'm sitting here going, it's kind of interesting, right? So first of all, everybody was getting their dander up, and I wasn't, because I know them. Like, first of all, I knew it was a committee.
I said there's no way it's going to pass.
Well, it's not even that. It's just a committee that's taking a recommendation to the legislature, so there's no rulemaking going in effect anyways. But it is interesting. There's the two things that bother me the most. One, that the governor's office has appointed two positions. One is a director of marijuana coordination. The other one is a deputy director of marijuana coordination. And yet, they still can't fucking coordinate the marijuana. They still can't get it together. They cannot, like, you're telling me that an agency of the governor's office, this Colorado Department of Health and Environment, is an agency of the executive, right? That they are not, like, that person has no idea the kind of marijuana-related policy that's coming out of that office. Okay, that to me is a little
Fishy.
either fishy or indicative of mass incompetence, like just gross incompetence, okay? Or, this is some kind of like sneaky maneuver where they're trying to say, oh, well, look what we could do. We could ban it, so you might as well get on board with spray painting it all orange, industry. So that's the second thing. And the other thing is, again, this is troubling. I don't know exactly, either way, it comes across troubling, however you interpret it. When the CDPHE sits there and says, well, we didn't take into consideration, black market or constitutional conflicts.
So you didn't do your job.
Exactly. I'm saying you've been regulating this for 2 years now. And you're meaning to tell me that the entire time, none of your policy people, which I know they have, I know the policy people, I know that they are very much aware of why we have these conversations all the time when it comes to regulating marijuana, about the black, especially the edibles and the black market. It happens all the time. So to sit there and say that they didn't take that into consideration, I'm like, you've been requesting how many millions of dollars to regulate and implement your portion of marijuana regulation, and yet
You don't know your job.
you don't know your job. You don't know the policy. Like, what are you guys doing?
Let's find some new people then.
Or something. I mean,
Seriously.
it's just, and I'm not saying, like, I don't want to ascribe any kind of, like, motives to people, like, and say that they're just being fishy or slippery or tricky. But to me, it's either you're either grossly incompetent or you're disingenuous. And either way, it's not a very comforting.
Yeah.
It's not a very comforting feeling.
Well, it's not. What I do love about it, though, is as soon as that proposal was brought up, I mean, it spread like wildfire on the internet.
Yeah, thanks,
and,
Kristen Wyatt from the AP. She's awesome.
And they went nuts. Kristen Wyatt is awesome, by the way.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. She likes her some weed reporting.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, you get these people in the media who are really, really good about it. There's some really good reporters out there on marijuana issues. And then there's the ones, I would say the print reporters are a lot better. Denver Post is like give and take, and it's good.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, they have a
Sometimes.
cannabis section, but then they also have their editorial board, which are like completely differing opinions, I would say, different reporting styles.
Yes.
But like you get to the TV segments, these TV segments are terrible. And I get it, like you have nothing, like this is such an easy thing for you to report on, but at the end of the day, I'm so sick of it. Like I like the media when they're good, but like when they're bad, they are just
So bad.
so bad. Like
And they're more often bad, especially in coverage of
the
cannabis.
pot Halloween candy, that's it. That's what I'm getting. Like,
The pot Halloween candy.
my
There's this
God.
huge warning going out. Here's what's funny about this, by the way. It's almost like, again, a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they're going out there telling everybody, be careful, because somebody might be putting cannabis in candies to give to children. Meanwhile, probably nobody has thought about that. And now there's somebody out there going,
Oh, you mean some kind of smart Colorado mommy?
Yeah, just some idiot who's like, maybe we could put some cannabis in the candy.
Oh,
you know?
sabotage, right?
Yeah, exactly. And here's my thing: is like, first of all, you always get that warning every year. Well, there could be razor blades in the candy because there's always some sicko who does do some stupid
Not
shit like that.
always. It's happened like 3 times in the last 10 years.
It does. I know.
And
It doesn't
like,
always
or
happen.
20
You're right.
years.
And it's fairly easy to find out, like, at least what geographic area that's happening in, so you can kind of zero in on the person who did it. But it's amazing to me. Oh, make sure you know what your candy is when you get it, and if anything's outside of a container. Well, yeah, sure. That's the way it's always been for Halloween. But now to like put this fear of cannabis in the public's eye that doesn't need to exist, in my opinion. I mean, maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe somebody will do it. But here's my thought on that. First of all, it's better than a razor blade, But second of all, they probably weren't going to do it until you started giving them the ideas about it. It's like it takes back to this thing, the Oprah effect. I know this is I'm really pulling this out of the annals.
Okay.
The Oprah effect. So many years ago, there was Oprah did a show. I remember this. I was like in high school or something. This is how long
We're
ago
doing
it
the
was.
flashback noises.
Oprah did a show, and she was very serious about this show because there were kids dying, doing autoerotic asphyxiation. You know what that is?
The choking game, right? Was that
there's a choking game, or they would basically choke themselves while they masturbate because supposedly gives you an enhanced orgasm, which is weird in any way.
How am I supposed to do that with my newly evolved threesome?
Exactly. Well, your cats have to pull on it, on a belt or something.
What's his name? David Hardaway, the guy from Kill Bill, did that.
Yes, David Carradine.
Carradine.
Yeah, he did it like crazy. Did it like it was like up on his. I mean, it was like tied to his balls and something crazy like that. It was weird, but only in Thailand.
So hot.
So hot. What a way to go! But anyway,
that's how I want to go.
So the Oprah effect. So Oprah did this thing where she's like, "This is a very serious thing. I'm making you parents aware of this." So she was doing it to make parents aware of it. But what she did was she made tons of kids aware of it, and kids were like, "Ooh, I got to try that."
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so that's the Oprah effect. It's like you think you're doing something good, but you're really actually not helping the cause whatsoever. Because all these kids who never heard of it in other areas all over the country, all of a sudden are like, well, I'm going to try this choking thing, and probably killed a couple of kids for it. Maybe she prevented some, but probably not, because when kids masturbate, they don't do it in front of their parents.
Oh, my gosh. And it's so funny. Like, this is like, at the end of the day, this is like such a conservative issue, but it's the one where the conservatives are actually right about it. Like, if you were a responsible parent and you actually like were involved in your child's life and you talked to them, this would not be an issue. Or if you're a responsible parent and you understand, like, look, what does unwrapped candy look like? Why would you accept candy that doesn't like that's unwrapped and out of its original
I agree
packaging?
with what you're saying, but I don't agree that it's a conservative issue, because in my opinion, I feel like the conservatives...
That's always their like thing, right?
I feel like the conservatives spend more time legislating parenting than the liberal side does.
That's not true.
Well, look at Smart Colorado. They're more on the conservative side.
No,
they're trying to legislate your parenting.
Trust me, in the legislature, they co-opt the nanny Democrats. So
got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like, it's the like, look, at the end of the day, like, banning is like not gonna like take it. It's like well, why didn't you let your parents outside? Because who's the one who makes it like that's a Democrat issue. The ones who make it like you have to like wrap your child in bubble wrap, and if you don't, it's child abuse. It's child abuse, y'all. It's child abuse. You like if your child is like playing in the playground unsupervised for like an hour, that's child abuse.
Right.
It's that kind of mentality. It's
I get it.
So don't ever let your kid like go to a daycare or go to a sports team, because what if that sports coach is a molester? And like, I mean, that's that kind of mentality where you have to be afraid of everyone, and you can't even like. Implicitly trust people. Like, yes, be aware. It's what's the phrase? Research but verify.
Research but verify. Trust but verify.
Trust but verify. Yeah. There you go.
But the other thing that I think that these people don't realize when it comes to the edible side, first of all, if it's homemade edibles, it's just like any other Halloween candy. You don't take the homemade crap.
You never take anyone's homemade crap.
But if they're taking like Incredibles bars, Incredibles that obviously they make great bars, but they cost money. I mean, if I'm giving you a package of Incredibles, I mean, I'm basically it's like $12 a bar because it's medicated.
$7 to $15.
Yeah, so I'm spending $7 to $15 per kid to get them high.
God,
how realistic is that?
Exactly. I pass out the cheap candy at my house.
Exactly. Go to the dollar store. Here you go. The Halloween actually cracks me up because, and I've found this more in Denver than I found when I was back in New England or anywhere else. I don't know if you encounter this. I don't know if you get trick-or-treaters where you live. We do because we live in like kind of like a real residential
I'm always
family.
out trick-or-treating.
You're always out trick-or-treating.
But I think this year I would just leave a bucket of candy out and be like, help yourselves.
Yeah,
and,
but
like,
somebody will just take a
let
ton
all
of
the
it.
tweakers in
What
the neighborhood
cracks
come get
me
it.
up about the trick-or-treating now is, as the night gets later, you get like adult kids and they're like, trick-or-treat. And I'm like, dude, really? You're not a kid anymore. Go egg a house. No, I'm not really.
Yeah,
but,
don't do that, kids.
no,
It's
don't do
bad.
that. I'm just kidding.
You'll get a felony.
Yeah. No, we used to do the shaving cream. You put you melt the shaving cream thing and you put the pin in it so it shoots at a stream. You ever see what I'm talking about?
No, why would
you take old bottle salt because you'd have shaving cream fights with other kids in the house. That's how we used to do Halloween when we got older. Instead of trick or treating, you go around and like run crazy and like have shaving cream fights at night with your friends. And you're looking at me like you've never heard of this.
Well, I didn't have friends growing up, so this is
well,
weird
that
to me.
explains a lot. But we get like I will get and I will get some mom who will have her baby stroller on the sidewalk and will walk up to our walkway and be like, "Can I get some candy for my kid?" And I'm like, "It's a baby." Yeah, trick or treat. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's not how it works." I'm not. If your child cannot walk up to my door and be cute and say trick or treat, there's no candy for you because that candy is one of two things. Either you're giving that candy to your kid, which is totally
You
fucked
gotta
up.
at least be 2 years old and toddling.
Yeah, I mean you're either giving candy to your baby who can't walk, which is fucked up, or you're asking for candy in the guise that you're giving it to your baby, but you're just feeding your fat face.
Capitalism, baby. Capitalism.
Yeah.
I know.
But I get that a lot. And I'm like
Really?
the jerk of the street. I'm not actually. Other of my neighbors are the same way. They're like, no, this is for the kids who can like actually come to the door.
I know. When Riley was 2, he was Tow Mater from Cars. I made him this really elaborate costume, and it was so cute. But he was 2 and could barely walk in it. And so there was times I had to like pick him up and carry him and then put the costume right back on at the door. So we like literally only visited like 12 houses. That was it. We were like done after like 2, like a block and a half. He's like, he couldn't do it anymore. So then there's times where like I'd go up and I'd like, look how cute he is. But he like literally cannot get his costume up here. It's too heavy. So,
well, and I don't want Mia to have all this candy when she's 2 anyway,
You know what I do with Riley is I take 10% of his candy earnings. And I'm teaching him a nice, important economics lesson about government.
That's good.
Yeah, taxes. I call it taxes.
You call it taxes, and then you eat it yourself because you're the tax man.
I'm the tax man.
Got it.
Every day I come in and take whatever candy I want. I'm like,
that's messed up. And you just leave him with all the crappy ones. Like, here, have all the Smarties. Knock them out.
That is not true. There is just some candy he just doesn't like.
No Snickers for him. None of the good stuff.
He doesn't like the Snickers.
Ah, lucky you.
I know, right?
Right.
What?
Right.
We fight over the Kit Kats a little bit. And then I realized, like, for $2, I could probably go buy a bag of Kit Kats at like King Supers, but I don't because it's more fun to like pilfer his candy.
We're just having fun to dress me up because like,
what is she gonna be?
She's gonna just be a pumpkin.
Oh,
she's got this cute little pumpkin like outfit with a pumpkin hat. And
That's adorable.
she's like 7 months old by the time it happens, so it's like just under 7 months. It's like it's strictly for our enjoyment.
So cute,
totally cute. In fact, I wanted to get like a big, huge, full size pumpkin and cut it out and put her in the pumpkin.
Yeah,
but then we can't carry her around with a pumpkin.
No,
but I thought it would be cute.
So cute.
What? Put her in a radio flyer. There you go. That's an idea.
Oh, with hay in it.
With hay in it.
Oh my God!
We're going to a pumpkin patch on Sunday. I'm excited to do these kind of parent, family things.
Oh yeah, that's
so we're gonna do a pumpkin patch with her, which she's just gonna get to like. It's just gonna be visual stimulus for her.
I know. Do it now because when they're about 8 years old, they become dicks.
No, that's boys. Girls don't become that until like.
No,
12,
they are.
13.
They're even worse.
Really?
Little girls are.
7, 6.
Yeah, girls with attitudes at that age. Like,
so that's all I get. I get 6 good years, 6 good years of cuteness, and then it's like all
well,
downhill.
Then you have to take out the like year 2 and 3 of the toddler tantrum phase. So really, from about age 4 to about age 8 is really the only.
I'm living into the possibility that she's not going to be a tantrum girl because she so far has been awesome. She's been awesome. Yep, I know.
Oh, see? You are so adorable. This is so naive.
No, I'm not being naive. I know it's entirely likely and probable, but I'm going to live into the possibility that she's just going to be an angel for at least 6 to 12 years.
I'm shaking my head no.
Yeah,
No.
I was hoping.
But
you have a boy, so this is the thing.
No, they're all
boys
jerks.
are harder early and then easier later, and girls are easy early and harder later. That's what I've been told by many parents who've had both.
It's true.
You know,
But
boys, you're worried about breaking shit. Girls, you're worried about like breaking your soul because like they will like do things that like just kind of destroy you later on, like in your psyche.
Yeah.
But boys will just break shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it's always
Destroy
been explained to me.
everything. I can't have anything nice in my house.
Yeah,
I know.
you can't.
What are you doing to the doggy?
He's just
God.
playing.
Do we have another break
I
coming
know.
up?
No, we actually are done
Oh,
in
we're
just
done.
a few minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, some things coming up for us. We have the THC Championship. Anybody out there who wants to be a judge, this is your
I know.
last few
I was
days.
gonna sign up. I should have signed up on the show.
Yeah, you can sign up. You just go to thcmag.com. There's a
Yeah, you
THC
have to explain it.
Championship
It's-
section on the top. And then you go there, and if you have a red card, you can sign up to be a medical judge. If you do not, and you are over 21, you sign up to be an adult
I'm
use
gonna
judge.
be a regular adult use judge. I'm
Yes.
so excited.
And we use that term adult loosely.
I am too an adult. I'm very much an adult, so there
you
bite
go.
me.
Yeah, because that's how adults talk.
That is how adults talk, jerk face.
Yep.
Oh, and I don't know what everyone's doing for Halloween, but you might want to keep your calendars open. I hear Snoop Dogg and down, ow, ow.
So the Snoop Lion thing didn't really work out for him, did it?
Fuck Snoop Lion. Just call him Snoop Dogg.
Oh, of course.
I
He
hear
doesn't call himself
Snoop.
Snoop Lion anymore anyway.
Is definitely having a Yes We Cannabis festival. He'll be sponsoring it
He's sponsoring his own festival.
for Mike Donovan.
That's
and
awesome.
For our pro-cannabis.
That is pretty
political
awesome, and that's for
candidates out
Halloween?
there. Yeah, it's we're gonna do voter registration drive. We're gonna get out the vote. We're gonna feature a lot of like as many cannabis candidates as we can.
Would it be awesome? How is Mike Donovan polling? I heard he was at like 15 to 20% right now.
Polling. Oh.
That's what I just something I heard in some of the polls. I don't know if that's true because I don't follow the polls.
We'll
I usually
see.
find out.
I don't know. I think
That would be awesome if he did.
I think this festival will be something to push him over the edge. So
The
tell your
big
friends.
issue is stoners gots to vote.
Stoners, you got to vote. You got to get your lazy stoner ass out of bed. Yes, I said it. I'm a fucking like. if
Just
I'm
just
mean.
smoke your sativa on election day. All right.
Or just like they literally could not get easier. They mailed the ballots to you.
They seriously did mail the ballots to you. So if you got it mailed to you.
And now the nice thing is you can, for all you newbies, all you like 18, 19, 20 first time voters, you know, like because not everybody was legal to vote when, you know, the last go around 2 years ago. You can register on the same day.
You can.
So
that is
just-
pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah, so look it up. It's not that hard. You can like Secretary of State's office should have a list of where you can register in your neighborhood to vote, and in your district, and you can register the same day to vote.
I just want to say this. I think it would be so amazingly awesome if Mike Donovan does become our governor because we would be making a statement as the state, you know, as Colorado again to the rest of the country that like, you know, cannabis is a serious issue that everybody needs to pay attention to.
Not even that. Just think about how like we're changing. Not only did we change politics with weed, now we're gonna be changing politics with third parties. Like that would be
Third
insane.
parties. See, that would be insane because we need third parties. I would love to see every party go away. Everybody has to be an independent.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, but
But
everybody should have to be an
The
independent.
point being, get y'all asses out there. If you're not registered to vote, go
That's
register
right.
to vote. Go vote for like some.
Yeah,
Do a little bit
we're
of
gonna talk to
research.
Mike and see if we can get him back on the show before election
Yeah,
time too.
we can do that.
Maybe before the Snoop Dogg event, so we can promote that,
Yeah.
which would be that would be next week.
Yeah,
Which I won't be on the show next week because I will be checking in entries for the Hemp Connoisseur Championship.
Well, he's been on Adam Dunn's show this week. He was on Adam Dunn's show yesterday.
Yeah,
So,
so maybe we do a post. Oh no, it'll be after the election then. We would have to do it next week, wouldn't it?
yeah.
Why don't you see if you can get him on, and then I won't be here, but you can do it.
Does that mean work? Oh,
That means
God.
work. Yeah, so go do that. Go do that.
Get y'all asses out there. Register to vote. The ballots are the ballots are being mailed
ballots?
to you. Yeah, the ballots are being mailed to you. So it could not be easier. And like
Really
you know,
couldn't be easier.
pocket yourself like $15 or $20, save it up, buy yourself a ticket to this festival. It's going to be great. There's going to be comedy. There's going to be education. There's going to be politics. And more importantly, there's going to be some awesome music.
Yeah.
So they're going to do some reggae. They're going to do some hip hop. There are going to be so many special guests that we cannot announce, but I know they're coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to be ridiculous. Like, it's going to blow your mind when you
It's
find
going
out
to be a
who's
cool
gonna go there.
festival.
Don't
And it
flip
would
me
be
off.
awesome if we can get everybody
That's
to vote.
rude. And I'm number one. What's up? Christian just flipped me off because he's a jerk.
Where's the festival being taking place?
It's gonna be at Infinity Park in
Infinity
Glendale.
Park.
So
Perfect.
that is
That makes sense.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
In Freedomville, Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. Well, we got to thank our sponsors, of course, Incredibles.
Incredible.
They are awesome. They
They
have
are awesome.
They have a new bar that I'm going to be trying
They
at home
have
tonight.
a new bar that you're gonna be testing.
And then the Indo Expo show. Indo Expo show is going to be held November 15th and
November
16th
15th
at the
and
Denver Mart.
The Denver Mart.
I will be a guest speaker there, believe it or not.
Boo.
Those silly people.
Wah,
It's like they just lost credibility because
Yeah.
they asked me to speak. No, but those guys are awesome. They put together a really good industry show, and there will be a job fair there on Sunday.
There will be a job fair.
And we are planning on broadcasting live from the Indo
Live.
Expo show,
Live.
either November 15th or 16th or both.
Both.
Chris is looking at me like, we are?
He's looking at both of us like, shut up and wrap
Shut it up.
Wrap it up. I got stuff
All
to
right.
do. I gotta go watch the Broncos.
All right. Well, until next time, peace, love, and...
Happiness.